Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and welcome back to our series going over the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount. Really excited to keep going with this today. Let's go ahead and open up our Bible to Matthew 5. This won't be a long one because this one's actually pretty easy to understand and I don't have a lot to say about it, but I still want to touch on it because every one of the Beatitudes I think deserves some time to look at and analyze. So let's go ahead and turn Matthew 5. For those of you who don't know what we're doing right now, we are going through a series on the Sermon on the Mount, which is from Matthew 5 through 7. And we are starting off with the Beatitudes, and we're going through each and every one of them, all the Beatitudes. And today we are taking a look at Matthew 5, verse 9. Hope you're there by now. Matthew 5, verse 9, which is, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. I want to take a minute to address the first half of this and then talk about that second half. So the first half, Jesus says, blessed are the peacemakers. Now, what is a peacemaker? Well, I'll be honest, when I first read this verse, the first thing I thought about was the gun. If you guys don't know, there is a gun called a Colt Single Action Army, known as a peacemaker. It is a handgun made famous by Wyatt Earp in old television westerns, right? It's a really cool gun. But why would you call a gun a peacemaker, right? I mean, that's an interesting way to look at it. Why would you call a gun a peacemaker? Guns aren't for peace, right? They're for war or conflict. Why would a gun be called a peacemaker? And then, of course, you also have, back during the Cold War, you had situations where you had the Soviet Union and America pointing their nuclear arms at each other, and people said it was to maintain peace. Okay, but those are weapons. Why are we maintaining peace through weapons? Well, it's very simple, and I'll explain it to you. It is because we are afraid of mutually assured destruction. When you point a gun at someone, you are supposedly making peace because you're preventing conflict. People are not going to act out or act against you or cause problems if they know that doing so will bring a gun to bear. People are not going to declare war on your country if they know you've got a nuclear warhead aimed right at their noggin. They maintain peace through force. That is the way the world maintains peace. Through force. If you're going to maintain peace, you better be able to back it up. It goes back to what Theodore Roosevelt famously said, "I talk softly, but I carry a big stick." A country that wants peace must prepare for war. That's an old Roman philosophy. If you want peace, prepare for war. You need to be ready to protect peace, maintain peace through strength of arms. Why? Simple. We live in a world where we have to maintain power to maintain peace. I want y'all to remember that. We live in a world where we have to maintain power to maintain peace. But there is a distinction. That is the world's way of peace. That is the world's way of maintaining peaceful coexistence. What is God's way? Because that's what Jesus is talking about. He's not saying, blessed are the peacemakers who whip out their guns to keep people in line. Blessed are the peacemakers who make sure to keep their warheads aimed at the right countries. Blessed are the peacemakers who maintain a powerful military arm so that they don't lose their country. No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying, blessed are the peacemakers. What does that mean in God's definition of peace? First, we need to understand what Jesus calls himself. You know what Jesus' other name is? The Prince of Peace. Peace. Now, we need to get down to brass tacks here. I know that I keep narrowing it down, but what is peace the way God looks at peace? Well, if we know anything about Jesus, if we know anything about his message, about what he is, what he stands for, what he encouraged, we can figure out what peace is. Jesus came to this world in love. In love. He did not come to cause conflict with Rome. He did not come to create problems. In fact, Paul writes in Romans, don't cause problems where you don't need to. Do not make issues where you do not need to. We must love our brothers, love our enemies. Jesus said numerous times, pray for those who persecute you. Love your enemies. And already we see a problem. Love our enemies. Pray for those who... What are you talking about, Jesus? I'm supposed to pray for the people who try to hurt me? I'm supposed to love my enemy at work or at school or at wherever? How can I do that? Because that is how you make peace in God's eyes. Blessed are the peacemakers. You make peace by extending love even to your enemies. You make peace by extending love even to your enemies. But there's another side to that coin. If blessed are the peacemakers, then what do you think about the peace breakers? What about the people who decide to go against the peace that God offers? Who decide not to love their enemies? Who decide not to show compassion to others? Who start conflicts? I'm going to be real with you guys. Something that bothers me constantly is I go onto the news or I go onto the internet or wherever, and I see news articles or news stories about some other riot going on around the world or in America. Some other riot, some other demonstration of force and anger, cities or property being burned or vandalized or destroyed, violence in the streets, another school shooting, another robbery. We live in an unpeaceful world. As Jesus has said before, and we'll get into this next time we meet, we're going to go more into this. We live in a world that is not peaceful. We live in a world that does not understand nor care about peace. We live in a world that says, no, it's not about peace. It's about power. Remember what I said earlier. We maintain peace in our world through power. And to get power, we will destroy or knock over those in our way because we have enemies in our world, people we don't like in our world, and we're going to cause conflict with them where we want to. If we have the power to put down our enemy, why don't we? One of the many reasons why the world hates Jesus is because Jesus says we shouldn't seek vengeance against our enemy. We shouldn't seek conflict against our enemy. We should pray for our enemies. Now, some of you are probably saying, hold on, Raven, does that mean that I can't defend myself? No, that's not what I'm saying. But we should not seek out conflict. We should not seek out war. We should not seek out disaster. We should seek peace. We should see conflict between two brothers and do our best to settle it, not encourage it. We should see an enemy and rather than reach for our gun to take him out, find a way to either make peace with them or just deal with them in a calm, rational way, because that is the way God taught us to love others. Blessed are the peacemakers because we are followers of the Prince of Peace. Now, some of you might say, now, Raven, how does that apply to me? I'm not a world leader who can maintain peace. I'm not one of these people going out to public demonstrations, and I don't know how to stop all these conflicts around the world from happening. How do I make peace? It's making peace starts in the personal life. Who do you have conflict with in your personal life? Is it someone in your family? Is it someone at work? Is it someone at school? Who do you have conflict with in your personal life? Who is someone that every day you encounter them, it's just, man, how is this person going to screw up my day? How is this person going to make my life a living hell? You start by making peace with that person. You start by being supportive and showing care to that person. pray for them. And that sounds stupid, but hear me out. Prayer can be a powerful tool. It is a powerful thing to pray for someone that you cannot stand. I've had to do it. It's not an easy thing to do, but I've had to get on my knees and say, God, I do not like this person. This person drives me crazy, and he is an absolute jerk. But I know he's going through a lot in his life, and I am praying that you would intercede on his behalf. Now, he may never care that I prayed for him. He may never appreciate it. He may never come up to me and say, hey, you know what, man, I understand that you prayed for me in this, and, you know, thank you, man. That's awesome of you. They may never say a word, and it is not my job to go to them and say, hey, man, I'm praying for you. But you know what? That makes me someone willing to seek peace and love before conflict, and that is a peacemaker. We should seek to quell, not to encourage. We should seek to bury hatchets, not lift them up. Now look at that second part. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. What does it mean to be a child of God? Well, consider again what Jesus' title was, the Prince of Peace, and he is God's Son. If we are to stand and inherit into Jesus' inheritance, should we not also be supporters and encouragers of peace? God wants us to share in the inheritance of Jesus Christ. God wants us to stand beside him. God wants us to follow in his footsteps and be like him. Think about what it means to be a child of anyone. If I say I'm the child of this man, that normally lends itself to an idea that what this man says and does, I'm going to follow after. It means that I have learned from this man. Quite often in the olden days, especially in Jesus' days, it was expected that a father would work a trade and their son or child would follow in their footsteps, maybe inherit the trade or inherit the family business. So if we are the children of God and we are to be peacemakers, what does that mean God must be? He must be the peace giver. If we are to be children of God, that means we are inheriting his business of peace. And some of you think, Raven, that sounds very obvious. But I've got news, and it's not news you're going to like. It's not obvious to the world. We'll talk more about this next time. We'll talk more about this in the final Beatitude. But you need to understand, this world hates everything to do with our God. The idea of making peace with our enemies is not one the world enjoys, because the world has a mentality of might makes right, losers fall by the wayside, and those who do evil get a leg up. Peacemakers, those who encourage peace, those who pray for their enemies, those who care for those who might hurt them, those who quell arguments instead of encourage them, they are not liked in this world. Because it goes against the idea that power is just. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be children of God. I know this was a shorter one. Not a lot to say about this one. I promise you next time will be much longer because we've got a lot to go into for the final Beatitude. That one is a heavy one, and it will probably be the one that really defines the Beatitudes overall. But unfortunately, next week, as you all know, is Thanksgiving week. I will be out of town on Sunday, so I don't know if I'll be able to get out one for you guys. I may pre-record one and release it for you, but really excited to wrap up the Beatitude so we can get into the larger Sermon on the Mount. But thank you all for watching, and as always, I will see you in my next video. Take care.